Te taumātua o Ngāti Rangi Wau i. Tōra koe e ura mōkena. Koutou tō whānau, e te mihi atu whia koutou. Tōra koe.
Kia ora rā koutou, hara mai tēnei rangi. Te mai au koutou mai.
Uncle Edie, one question I wanted to ask you is, where were you born?
Oh, Hauraki. On the edge of Thames.
Up the Thames Coast?
No, right in Thames, Tarawai.
You know, I always thought that you were born in Oahu. I don't know why, but I suppose because your family was always come from there. You know?
Yes, well, that's where the family comes from, and they left here to go to Thames. My dad working in the curry bush, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And, while we were down there, I was born in Paraguay, but most of us were. Henry.
Over at Hauraki.
I came back to Rotorua here when I was about 10.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Mum wouldn't have been born then, would she?
Oh, no.
She was
Oh, no, wait, I knew she was, just before we came back. She was the baby of the family, of course.
You know, this Morgan family is so well known amongst Te Whānui and all that. How many in your family?
There were 9 originally, but the elder ones died early in their lives, you know, and there were only 5 of us. It's Victoria, Tauri, Henry, myself, and Peter, your mother-in-law.
You know, when you came back from Hauraki, did you spend most of your life at Oahu? Did you spend most of your younger life, teenage life at Oahu?
No, we came back to Te Puke.
Oh, Manoika.
Manoika. My uncle, Dad's brother, Tapene. And there for quite a long time before he shifted back. Actually shifted back to Rotorua here.
Well, your younger days there, you know, in both at Hauraki and Manoika. Can you tell us a bit about that? What were you actually doing? Your dad and Mum, were they farming or?
No. Dad worked in the curry bushes. He was a bushman all his life.
Bushman all his life?
Yeah. And from Thames, as I say, I was about 10, soon after the World War I finished. We came back to Te Puke and stayed there for, I can't remember exactly how many years, but quite a number of years at Manoika. And when I went to the Matai Native School, Maori School, the Matai Maori School over there, and that's how I got to go to St. Stephen's in Auckland. I went from on the scholarship from that school. And while I was away, the years that I was there for 4 years at St. Stephen's, and while I was in that 4 years, our family shifted over here to Rotorua here, and we've been here ever since.
Were you the only one of your brothers at St. Stephen's? Or?
Yeah, Tauri went before me, of course. He was quite a bit older than me. Henry didn't. And I suppose you did all the usual things, got up to mischief and that. And, no, I wasn't a very mischievous boy at all.
Especially at Tipene. How did you find your time of life over at Tipene? Very rewarding?
Oh, very. I was bit of a weed when I went over there. I remember I was only 7 stone 7 when I went to St. Stephen's, and in 4 years, and when I left, I was 14 stone. It was, you know, wonderful school for building the body.
Building the character too, I think.
Oh yes, yes.
It's those colleges, Tibane and they seem to have a great tradition with bringing the best out of our married boys.
That's so. Because physically, actually, that Tibane would be the tops, even ahead of Taute for that part of it. But scholastically, we weren't very forward, you know.
I think now, though, they seem to have combined the two very, very well. These days, they seem to do very well scholastically as well as academically as well as sports-wise.
Yes.
I know that those colleges even now seem to be very well sought after by parents who want to send their kids there.
Point of interest too at St. Stephen's, because I went on a scholarship, which they allowed for all Maori schools, holy Maori schools. But if you went as a paying pupil, you paid £30 a year. £30 a year for everything.
Wow.
Except your clothing, of course. The parents had to supply it.
At one stage, your parents and that moved up to Mamaku.
That's right.
One stage,
that's right. We all, and that's when I finished school. That'll be 1929. They just moved up there, and that's what my first job when I left school. I went to work in the bush with my dad and my brother.
Those would be hard days then, wouldn't they?
Oh, that was really tough.
Especially up there in Mamaku, and the weather not being the greatest.
You go 15 miles to work every morning on the Chiga, you know.
Oh, can we go back to St. Stephen's days when you were there? Were many other Rotorua boys there?
Yes, quite a few. I was there during 5 of the Maika boys.
Apolo.
Yeah. There was Apolo and Rock and Komene and Honeke, the eldest one. They were all there in my time.
They lived out at Hororo.
No, Waka.
At Waka?
Down by Kuru's place.
Down by, oh yes, now I know, yes.
And did you play much sport yourself?
Oh yeah.
What did you...
How did you do sportsman-wise with regard to the...
I did extra well at St. Stephen's Sports. I won the heavyweight boxing my last year there. I won the football medal.
And what position did you play with rugby?
Wing 3/4. What else was there?
And how did you all fare when you played? Did you play into rugby or inter-house or
college
inter-schools?
Oh, we played against the other. We did play against like King's College and Auckland Grammar and those things, but our boys were a bit big because we had older fellas like from the islands. Some of them, 1 or 2 of our pupils were in their 20s. So and got a bit tough. I think our team was a bit tough, so we got.
You had to be play above
We
the
got
grades above, or
pushed out. No, we got pushed out of the secondary grade, secondary school grade, and we went and played what they call 3rd grade open in Auckland.
in club rugby stuff
Yeah,
like that.
club rugby. Still did very well in that.
I don't think the position has changed all over those years with these colleges the way they are, have they? It always seems to still have one of the strongest secondary school rugby teams in the country, and so does Chelsea.
And what about swimming? Rotorua always had excellent swimmers.
Well, no swimming because we didn't have a bath. They had a bath at Parnell, but it was a cold water one, a salt water one, you know, and a bit cold to train there during the winter.
And any association with the Queen Vic girls at all?
not too. We were very close to them, as you know, only about 200 or 300 yards away from the schools were apart. But they were very.
You were there at the old St. Stephen's. That's the one in Parnell.
And who was the headmaster then?
A fellow called Wilson. We used to call him Puku. Big guy, a great big Puku, but he was a fine man.
Fine man.
Wasn't very clever in that, but he was a real father figure to all the boys, you know. And of course we had Pat Smythe, he's from Ngapuhi. He was the second in command, and he did all the punishing.
Oh, yeah. How many pupils were at that school in
Around about 60.
That's a fair number.
Yeah.
But then for her to have a great rugby team like the way you guys had would have been quite an achievement, wouldn't it?
Actually, we had 2 rugby teams and a soccer team. That's it. Nearly everybody in the school was playing some sort of outside sport. But as you say, we developed a real good rugby team. Our #1 rugby team used to beat King's College quite regularly, and Auckland Grammar, Sacred Heart. It was all,
and your association with Queen Vic was quite close to, you said?
Not at first. But, when we got the next headmaster, I can't remember his name, but he eased up a bit, and then we started having socials. Only once a year. We'd have it 1 year, twice a year. We have one at the boys' school and one at the girls' school. So the association got quite better that way, and no untoward happening. Everything went along smoothly. There was no funny business.
Oh.
So how did you used to travel to and from Deepen then?
Well, we only came home once a year. Not like they do now, they come back after every term. We only travelled once up there and once back. But my first year, it was quite an experience. I came from Te Puke, came by service car to Rotorua here, got on the train, and went to Auckland. When I got there was nobody. There was supposed to be somebody to meet me, but there was nobody. And I was waiting for the next train out. I was going to hop on and come home. I thought I would be coming home, but it's quite possible I would have been going somewhere else. And these 2 fellows, I remember them too, as Hona Humero from Te Puke and fellow Stewart from Putaru. They turned up and picked my gear up, what I had. And
they came from the school?
Came from the school. And they took me out to the tram stop. And we got on the tram. It was the first time I'd have seen a tram, let alone ridden on one. And, well, it makes so much noise, it sounded as a terrific speed, you know. And they had the upright posts quite close to the tram as they go along. Every now and again I was going like this, you know.
Dodging the post.
But eventually we got to the top of St. Stephen's Avenue there, and I walked down, and I got my first view of the school. And I thought, oh my, that's good, because there was a long line of sort of, looked like sheds or something. I thought, oh, that must be where they keep the horses or something, for the boys to go riding or something like that.
Oh, yes.
But when I got down there, I found there were fellas sitting on the step, polishing up their gear and that, you know. Some of them lived in. The senior boys had sort of these box rooms. They lived in there, and we had to go into the big dormitories.
Oh, yes.
About 30 at time. And I got very homesick, to tell you that. But I didn't have that on my own. And of course the other thing that had hit me with some force first thing was when we lined up for our first meal there. And there was some big fellas there. Well over 6 feet, and some of them, especially these islanders, some of them, they would have been about 15, 17, 18 stone, you know. And I was, as I tell you, 7 stone 7. Standing here between these fellows. And, well, it took some time to get used to it. Let's see.
Did you have a father-son system? Was there someone that actually came along and looked after you for your first days at deep end?
Nothing.
Just thrown in at the deep
like
end,
that.
right on the start.
Just told what you were to do, and you did it the best of your ability. I was lucky. Dr. Mikari's brother was there.
Oh, yes.
He's his eldest brother. And of course, knowing I was from here, he took a bit of interest in me, so he did manage to show me where were the places to go, you know, instead of just letting me wander around.
Was the school sort of based on military grounds then, like spit polished shoes and all those things? Or
No.
Discipline along military grounds?
Oh, well, the discipline was hard, strict, but most of us came from poor families, you know. Most of the time we had no shoes, no boots at all. You just ran around in school grounds with bare feet. But of course on Sunday when we went on parade and marched up to church to Queen Mary's Cathedral, oh boy, that was a sight.
The whole school?
Yeah.
Marched up to Green Town.
Whole school marched up.
It was the old black and yellow coloured in.
Uniforms pretty much the same.
Little yellow tie and
Yellow tie.
yellow around the top of your stockings. Mostly black, you know, just a touch of yellow here and there, but it looked outstanding, especially marching. My crikey, those fellas used to look good.
The new, well, the Tipanen now have their different houses, Panopa, Pomare.
Oh yes.
And so did they have that sort of thing there?
No,
They just all, you were all together?
all in one.
Just if I can go back to that scholarship, obviously you must have showed some real scholastic skills to have acquired your scholarship.
It was a scholarship that you got to go there.
Well, actually, it was a government scholarship, and anybody who had any sign of
Promise.
a bit of promise was, I think they allowed about 2 per 100 pupils, you know, to go as
2 scholarships per 100?
to go. Was the school I was going to at the Matai, we didn't have 100 kids at school here, so there's Ahomiro and I were the 2 that were selected for that school. For 3 years it was, that first scholarship. And then if you were right at the end of if you'd done well all right in those 3 years, you got what they call a continuation scholarship, which was another 2 years. That's right, I was there 5 years. So I got the continuation scholarship. I got quite a few awards up there, especially on the physical side and that, but the one that always I was most proud of, and my people were most proud of too, was I was the first to matriculate from Steeping.
You were the first Tarawa boy to matriculate?
First ever.
Wow, the first?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Well, there's
a real achievement,
three of us actually. There was myself and Manga Cameron. I think he was up for bishop when Panapa got it, you know, between him and Panapa, who got the Maori bishop, and another boy named Andrew Rollo. I never ever saw him again after the school. But we were the first. No, we weren't. I got my pass and they missed that year. They got it the following year. So I was
You were the first.
First matriculate ever from St. Stephen's, so I was very proud of that one. But,
what other achievements you indicated that the boxing
yeah, well,
heavyweight champ?
actually in physical side of it I did very well. was the gymnastic champion of the school, and that was quite a thing because they had that was the only real modern thing they had around the place was their gymnasium. They still got it at the new school. They transported it out to the new school.
That's the gymnasium.
Yeah. So I won that for 3 years. And football medal, shooting, everything to do with sport and athletics. I did well. Very.
What about in competition against other colleges?
Oh well, the football. I did well.
And your athletic abilities too, did you have to show them off against
I wasn't that good on running or jumping or things like that. But they made me head boy in my 4th year, so it wasn't too bad. I nearly got expelled for smoking.
That's well, things haven't changed all that much by the sounds of it from now to even then to even now.
As head prefect or head boy, did you have a fair amount of control of discipline and things like that?
Next to...
Say after the teachers?
Next to Smythe. He was a disciplinarian of the school. Next to him, the head prefect had the job of doing the rest. The other teachers, the other masters and the headmaster never worried about that.
Oh. It was left to the head prefect?
Head prefect and the 2IC of the school.
Did you have many other Rotorua boys come up through the system while you were there and so need your guidance later?
Quite a few, yes.
Do you remember many of those?
Well, as I said, all the Maika boys. Well, Big Sitkirova was there, but because he was there, we went about the same time.
Young ones? Any young ones?
Yes, I'm just trying to think. Oh, Meta Francis and his brother Percy. Yeah, they came only little wee fellas when they came there.
You were senior then, and they were...
Yeah. Yes, I'd been there 3 years, I think, when they turned up.
Quite an area of responsibility by the sounds of it.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Well, you had to watch your P's and Q's, and that's one thing we found, that never paid. Smart was a very smart guy. Never paid not to tell him what was happening, because you always knew. I found out somehow or other. Anna, that's when I came back to Mamaku. I went to work in the bush, but I was there only for 1 year with Dad and Henry, my brother. And then I got this, because as you leave school, you put an application for a job, government job usually. And I got this letter from advising me that there was a vacancy for me in the forestry here if I'd like to come. So I wasn't too keen on it because I liked to work out in the bush and I was getting good money for those times. But my dad, he had an old car, brought me home from work, packed my stuff and put it on the car and brought me straight down, you know.
He was the one who did it.
Yeah,
not you. You didn't want to go.
I didn't want to. He brought me down. And a week later, I was back home again with all my gear. And that was the first thing he said when he got back from work. "Now, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, good." I was getting £4.12 a fortnight. That was my pay for a fortnight. Out of that, I had to pay £3 a fortnight for my board, and £1.12 was 6 for anything I had to buy. I had to buy my own clothes, everything. I said, "That's no good to me now. The money."
How much were you getting up in Mamaku Forest?
Oh, I was getting about 15 shillings a day.
Good money for that.
What kind of work was it?
Oh, heavy work.
Heavy work.
Well, felling trees.
Felling trees.
mentioned your dad. Is there much that you can remember about them, your mum and your dad and your growers?
Oh yes, well, those two particularly, I didn't have much to do with the rest of the. I didn't really understand them, you know.
Yes.
Because my growers and kuyas were real Maori. People didn't think I was full Maori when I went to school because I looked fair, but
You look fair. Yes.
Mum was fair. Well, I looked fair then, not fair now. Yeah. Anyhow, it was just about tea time and Dad got home from work. And when I told him what had happened, he said, "Put your gear back in the car." Yeah. So I put my gear back in the car and away we went. He wouldn't even let me stop and have tea. He said, "You're going back." So he took me back and I never attempted to go home again after that.
It was the better decision, do you think?
Oh, I suppose it turned out, oh yes. Bush work was too hard to last. If you knew nothing else, well, he knew nothing else, so that's why he worked in the bush all his life.
How many years were you in the forestry?
Oh, I was in about 26 years, I think, from 1930 to, oh no, oh that's all together, 1932, 1930, and then we went away in 1939, so I was there for 9 years before I went overseas, because I joined up again. I went back to the forestry again when I came home. So a total of around about 22.
And what position did you go to when, what was your career path through the forestry? Certainly before the war years anyhow.
Oh, just anything that came along, you know. There was no special target or anything, but I started out in the outside work, and then they came back. They brought me back into the office. They offered me a job in the office. I went back to the office.
The administration clerical.
Yeah.
But otherwise, would be certainly a waste of all the education that you had before that time.
That's right. Yeah. But we were staying on the forestry project. When I came back after the war, I couldn't settle down to working inside the building, inside four walls. So I went outside again. But I didn't go out as a labourer or anything like that. I went out as a trainee. And I ended up, when I finished up as a senior ranger.
You know, before the war years, did you still pursue the sporting?
Only rugby.
Only rugby.
No.
Point of pride there with this Waka team that you people had in that 1938 team, mate.
1938.
I see that photograph of you in a lot of the clubs around Rotorua, especially Waikato, who are great rivals.
No. I only played for one other club, and that was Mamaku.
No, this photo of this 1938 team.
Oh yes,
yes. I see it in all these club rooms.
We revived the Waka Club then after 40 years. They've been dormant for 40 years, and we revived it in 1935, and it took us to 1938 to win the championship, which is very good, only 3 years. But that's the only sport I followed. I never went.
We come now, Uncle Eddie, to your war years. Can you give us some account of you're joining the army and you're joining, give us a few details on how you went about
responded
it.
to the call.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I can give you quite a good rundown on that part of it, because my battalion was started here in Rotorua.
In Rotorua?
Yeah.
We actually...
Rangi Royal was the one that was the senior one behind it all. We used to get around together at the various maraes and practice, train, and Oh no, first of all I must tell you, when we first heard of it, we were, the Waka group anyhow, we were on our way to East Cape. What's the name of that?
Tararo?
No, further, no, not that far down, right on the Cape.
Cape Runaway itself, or
Yeah.
Whangaprao?
Whangaprao, that's it. We took a football and basketball team there and play Wycliffe's tribal group down there.
Oh, yes.
And while we were on the way, the war was declared. We heard over the radio that England had declared war on Germany, so it actually started from that moment. So when on our way back, we stopped at Porporo and got all brooms and sticks and things we could find, and we were training with these things as rifles. And then when we got back to Rotorua here, and then they really started it in earnest. And we had groups all over the place, in various maraes around here, but mostly Waka and Ohinmutu.
One question I like to ask is, how long a journey would it take to go from Cape Runaway or here to Cape Runaway and back?
In those days, no taxi, no nothing then. In those days it would be about 7 hours.
Wow, it's a long trip.
Yeah.
Kia ora. Come in. You just come in at the right time. Come in. Come in.
Hello, John.
Hi, kia ora.
You're just the one we wanted to see too.
Oh, no.
No, we got a few questions we've got to
I was
ask.
just on the walking around.
Yeah, sit down.
I thought, oh, well, I might as well walk down here.
Sit down. The reason we want to ask you some questions too as well. It's concerning Uncle Eddie and the family and his war years.
This is the photo your sister said. This is the photo Vicky had, or got. Yeah?
No, we had that all the time.
No, one like that.
No, she might have. It was only a small one. Eh?
I don't know.
It was only, I had it blown up.
Yep, and you were in Poroporo, and did your first of your training sessions there?
Yes, that's right. That's right. And as I say, when we got back to Rotorua, then they really started to get organised. We were holding quite regular parades. And it was from that, I'm not quite sure how it generated, but it was from that was, I think it was the memory of the First War. What did they call the first?
The Great War?
First Maori...
Expeditionary Force or something?
No, the Maori group.
Pioneer Battalion.
Yeah, the Pioneer Battalion. Hokufutuatu. From that, somebody got the idea that they should have another Maori unit. And that's when they started the ball rolling. I don't know the details of that. But after some time, then we started enlisting. And when we went into camp, it was as 28th Maori Battalion. We, first of all, a group of us went to Trentham to train as non-commissioned officers and officers for the new unit, and we were there for some weeks. And from there we were dispersed to our first camp as a unit on the showgrounds at Palmerston North. went through some very hard, constant, strict training there. With very good permanent staff, NCOs and officers. Particular ones we can remember, of course, is Colonel Dittmer and our regimental sergeant major. Good heavens, I've forgotten his name.
He was the first commander.
Haywood. Haywood was our regimental sergeant major, and I think you can more or less say that it was his doing why the battalion grew up to such a competent unit and so well disciplined, because he was tough, he was really hard. And of course, anything that he put forward was backed up by Colonel Dittmer.
What was the general attitude like while you were all signing up? Was there a reluctance to sign up? Or?
No, there wasn't really. There was a rush to get in. There were all sorts of lies told to get in. Like fellas going in for their eye examination. Say, right, cover the right eye. Put your hand up like this to the eye. And then the next word you get would be change, and then go like this. That's the type of thing that they were doing to
Putting up the ages
to
too?
make sure, yeah, putting up their ages, and in some cases, like my own, putting it back. Putting the ages back was.
So how old were you, or what did you do?
Oh, well, I was around about 30 at the time, and they weren't taking anybody over about 24, 23, 24. So.
And can you remember other people? I understand people like Johnny Penny and them.
Yes, well underage.
Very young boys.
Johnny Penny, in our particular unit, there's the ones that stand out particularly with Johnny Penny and Mrs. Briggs's.
Rangi Briggs's.
Rangi Briggs's brother. His name's
Was Bubbles' brother?
Yes, Sonny.
Sonny?
Sonny was underage, but he wasn't quite so bad as the other two. A bit older than them.
And how did you travel from here to camp?
All by train. By train. Went to Hamilton on transport, and then or went on the night train to New Plymouth.
Out of jungle.
Yeah. And we did 1 or 2 trips from there to. We went to Waitangi once, in particular, for something to do with Bledisloh's presentation of his when he finished as Governor General of New Zealand.
Yeah, and at what point did they move you into almost tribal companies?
Oh, in New Plymouth. Yes, that's when they divided us up into.
By then the Maori Battalion had been formed.
Yes, yeah. It was recognised as a separate unit then. Separate in that way, racially, but we were part of what is then called the 5th Brigade. Yes, the unit was divided up into 4 rifle companies. A company was Auckland and north of Auckland. B company was Rotorua, fair plenty as far as Portuguese approximately, round south to Taupo and around about Tiro. That would be the boundaries of B company. C company was the east coast, that's Ngāti Pro, Gisborne and areas in that vicinity. D company was actually the rest of New Zealand, with mainly Hawke's Bay in that area, and Wellington of course, and some from the South Island, not a great number at the beginning. And then there was what we call a headquarters company, which included all the tribal areas, but specialist troops, you know, like mortar platoon, Brent carriers, and such like. And company and battalion headquarters, which is the administration part, including the colonel and the regimental sergeant major, police, MPs, and so forth.
Can you remember the commanders of each of those companies?
Well, at the head of the show, of course, was Colonel Dittmer. His 2IC was it slips me for the moment. A company was oh my goodness.
We had who was the Sydney from north? You had there was Love and Porter. Or did all of those people come later?
They came later.
They came later.
Yeah.
Well, that's the James.
And Jim Henry came
Yeah,
later.
they all came later.
Where Hiko or people like that.
Yeah, well, B company was A company. I can see the gentleman, but I have his name slipped my mind at the moment.
Porter and those people too.
Yeah, well, he came later, quite a bit later. And B company was Rangi Roll, of course. C company was little fellow Parker named Scott. D company was oh, I'm slipping up badly here.
That might know. There's no
Yeah,
problem.
I
You
know
lost those. But okay, so that there's no doubt we'll pick these ones up later on.
Yes.
Having completed your training in New Zealand, how did all of the soldiers react to being told that they would take their embarkation leave?
Oh, of course they were all, I think all soldiers, even all units were keen to get on the way. But our unit was especially had a special circumstances because we were well overstretched and so many had to be culled out to stay behind. And because everybody was doing whatever they possibly could to go to not be left out. But they got culled out in Palmerston North and just went with the Bear unit. Quite a few of the Rotorua boys were left out. And we went direct to from New Plymouth. I remember a great crowd turned out there to see us off. We marched to the train and straight onto the wharf at Wellington. We embarked on the Aquitania, the old ship, the Aquitania, and had to stay overnight. Yes, overnight. And the next morning there were five troop ships left altogether. And what a wonderful sight it must have been from the shore. All 5 of the biggest ships afloat at that particular time.
During all your training, obviously there were families that, wives and children that belonged to some of the soldiers. Was there much hardship in their case?
No, I don't think so. I think the army were very, very fair with families of troops because they all got allotments from their fathers or brothers who were in the forces, and each child had an allowance. So I should think in quite a few cases the the families ended up better than if the father grew at home. Although, of course, the pay was very small.
How long did the soldiers in general think the war was going to last?
Well, it varied a lot, but nobody ever thought it would be more than about 3 or 4 years, I think, the most. Some thought we'd be back by Christmas. This was about 6 months.
And,
we were well out.
And so you departed New Zealand in about what month?
In June. June 1940. June 1940.
Yet I understand that many of your, certainly my battalion people, used to call themselves 39ers.
Oh, that was their regimental numbers. Regimental numbers were 33. It started off with 39. And as the reinforcements joined up, they had their numbers too. Like all troops in, say, first reinforcement, they were preceded by 8-6, that sort of thing.
And you personally, what rank were you when you left New Zealand?
A good, very good private.
Had you attended any New Zealand courses or any of those things?
Yes, we'd been through this Trenton course, but
had any of the local people from Waka or people that you had associated with, had they been promoted at all?
Oh, well, Charlie Bennett went with us, of course, and he went in as a lieutenant. By the way, we had adjutant of the battalion too, was a Maori, I think part Chinese, Tepunga, Paul Tepunga, and boy was he tough. But he was tough with everybody, so nobody minded. Yeah, no. There were some promotions, there was stripes.
In the photos that show the A Company, or part of A Company before it left Whakareurewa, there are some that did have rank, didn't there, weren't there? Some of the local village people up at Waka.
Oh yeah, I had 3 stripes for a start while we were training.
Yes.
I had 3, I was a sergeant, Tommy Thompson was a corporal, Pat Walbrook was a sergeant, Kuru, I think, was corporal.
Ai, tēnā koe, Tede, he mi tēnei ki a koe, ko hui hui mai nei ki te kōrero i ngā kahuri o tātou mahara ki ngā mahi a ngā hoi a tūmatauenga. No reira, nau mai tēnei rā, tēnā koe, te, a kahuri ki a koe, he chau.
Tēnā koe e te, better stick to Pāga. Nā mahara mai e prau o takau mātua nei ai. Te mihi ati ki a koe. E kau.
Just tell us a bit about your life after, once you people, you soldiers headed overseas. Uncle Eddie, both you and Ted could actually move into that sort of conversation, because you know, what you guys had to do was really something that's, filled really the Maori people with a lot of pride, isn't it?
We certainly moved from yesterday as we were boarding the Aquitania.
That's
so,
right, we got on the Aquitania last night, that's how far at Wellington.
Oh, carry on from there.
Did you go on the Aquitania too, Ted?
Yeah, well, the whole battalion.
The whole battalion. Original
The
battalion.
original battalion. And
you said there were 5 ships and they made quite a sight, as they went out of the harbour.
yeah, well, there's the Andes and the South Island, and what else?
Empress of Britain.
Empress of Britain.
Wow.
Aquitania.
They all had to tail us, though. They were too slow for the
That's right.
Aquitania.
Yeah. And the Empress of Japan. And we picked up the Queen Mary in Australia, eh?
Yeah, we weren't allowed to land. We had to park out. But we were the whole of the second echelon, weren't we?
Yeah.
The whole of
Yes.
the second echelon?
Hold a second.
That was Parker's and the original battalion.
How many of you people
Well, on at 600 then, wasn't
600
it?
on
No, about 800, I think, on our Aquitania. Maoris. Altogether, that's included. That only included the Maoris and engineers.
Engineers, was it?
Yeah. And the 23rd.
One of the South Island
Yeah,
battalions.
23rd.
Mentioning the 23rd, I think you'll agree, Eddie, that we found the 23rd Battalion from down south, the best man on your flank, the best battalion on your flanks if you went into attack, because you know you could rely on the 23rd.
Yes.
Is that right, Eddie?
Never had to worry about
Never had to worry.
They're all
about
pariahs.
All pariahs.
All pariahs, yeah.
Fantastic crowd.
Felt safe on that side.
Yeah. On the other side of, I won't mention the other battalions, but another side would be some other battalion. We weren't feeling so sure that our flank will be covered as we went in.
What did you do for entertainment as you sort of moved by ship from country to country?
How's he at?
Oh, how's he? Oh, I was only a corporal. He was a sergeant. He had the sergeant's mess.
And until we got to Cape Town, and I lost my stripe.
Did you?
Yeah. I got AWL in Cape Town.
What did you do wrong, Eddie?
I missed the boat. Missed the barge that we went there into Simonstown.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, well, we were being carried backwards and forwards to leave people on those barges. And I missed the barge.
You still caught the ship.
Oh yeah, caught the ship. Yeah, but I lost my stripes all the time.
And you say Kuru did as
Or
well, did
something
he?
else
Yeah.
too long before you went away.
Yeah, well, Kuru and I were the ones that got left this particular time.
This was in Cape Town.
Yeah. Oh well, Simonstown next
Yeah,
to
we
right
went
next
from
to.
Simonstown to Cape Town. The Aquitania couldn't get into.
Must have been an experience to go to Cape Town.
I don't think it was. I think it was political. The Aquitania didn't go into Cape Town because there were some dark persons on the ship.
Yes, they were a bit afraid how we'd mix, I think.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And yet the ladies that gave us morning tea, or was it something like that? The South African ladies in Cape Town.
Yes.
We got some sort of.
Woodstock.
It was Woodstock.
Woodstock, yeah.
But they were very good. The South African women, elderly women, most of them, they were very good to us.
And then from there, where did you go to? Just up to the Middle East then?
From Cape Town, we
Cape
went
Town to...
Called into Sierra Leone.
Sierra
but we
Leone,
didn't,
yes, that's right.
We weren't allowed to land.
And we weren't even allowed to swim, although one of our fellows dived in.
Because of the diseases they have around that
And
hot
the
area.
And the sharks.
Humid as hell.
Shark infested.
Oh, we just felt sorry for the sharks. We
Yeah, well, we stayed here about 2 days, eh?
Something like that. It was hot as hell.
Did you see any evidence of enemy action during that passage?
No.
Oh, we did. It wasn't until we got going into the. What was the area that when we went into Greenock? What was the name of the estuary then? Not the Firth of Clyde.
Clyde. Yeah.
Firth of Clyde. Yeah.
Yeah, we passed a few wreckages.
Before we got there, we had an escort, including the HMS Hood. Remember, as we were approaching, a torpedo went past the nose of the HMS Hood.
That's right. Never saw it, but we heard about it.
Yeah.
Very smartly.
And that was, well, we're a few miles out of Scotland, but they were zigzagging.
We couldn't have a naval escort because
Not
our ships,
until we got close to.
our ships were too fast for them.
Is that right?
Yeah, the big troop ships were traveled too fast for the.
Particularly the Aquitania.
And what about food and that? Was it reasonably pleasant on board the Aquitania?
Good food. Yes, very good.
And PT and military activities, do you still continue
all
with
that.
all of your training?
As much as possible, eh?
But he was a sergeant, you see, and he didn't have to. He'd give the instructions.
And did company rivalry also exist on the ship?
Oh yes, but
Oh,
in a friendly way.
Yes.
In a friendly way, yeah. Because you couldn't do a hang of a lot because the decks were, once we all got back up on deck, there wasn't much room.
Yeah, there was a big ship, the Britannia, what was it? It was doing it would travel at 22 knots to no trouble, and it was 42,000 tons, wasn't it?
Mm.
And illnesses? Any of any significance?
Or
Well,
just jippy tummy.
We lost somebody just before we got into, before we hit South Africa.
That's
Remember
right.
that
That's
having to dump them over the side?
Oh, that's right. I can't
Was it
remember.
ours or Parker?
I think it was ours, but I can't remember who.
Mm.
Archie, oh no, not Archie Tahani, you got left there, eh?
He
South
died.
Africa.
He died.
No, no,
Oh.
you caught up with us about a year later in the Middle East.
How come he got left there? He just went out on a party or something and didn't come back.
Yeah. And he looked so much like them, he got on very well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So
Anyhow, I dragged us back to that. When we went into Gurok, on the 1st of July, or Greenock, they called it Greenock or Gurok.
Yes,
And the
that's
thing
right.
that surprised us most was twilight. You could still read the paper at 10 at night, hey?
Oh my word, yes. The sun was still up at 10 o'clock.
Mm.
Yeah, we couldn't understand this late
Well,
twilight.
being country boys, we didn't expect that sort of thing.
So, and what barracks did you occupy? In,
Not in
No,
Greenock.
no barracks until we got to Aldershot. We
That's
unloaded,
must be bad.
disembarked all night. The day we arrived.
Went through Glasgow, was it? Or was it
Yes.
Glasgow? We couldn't understand what the hell they were talking about. You know, in the
Yes.
Oh, you spent some time in there in Glasgow too?
No, we were just in the train, and I think we stopped to have us a cup of tea or some damn thing. But it was good fun.
and reaction by the people, the British
Good, they cheered hang out of us.
Yeah.
That's everybody.
It must have been in the,
Not just
in the summer
Italian.
when you got there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So in all, how long did that trip take from New Zealand to the UK?
6 weeks, wasn't
No, 3 months.
it? Was it that long?
3 months, yeah. I remember
Oh, that's right.
we were on board ship for 3 months before we got off in Scotland.
It wasn't until after we'd been in England for a while that we were told that we were supposed to go to Cairo, to Port Aden, and one of those ports, and to join up with the first echelon. But somebody gave the order for us to be detoured to Britain because of Dunkirk.
Yeah, Dunkirk happened while we were
That's
on the
where
way.
we were sent there with our wooden guns for to sit on the cliffs of Dover to stop the Jerrys from coming across.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Funny though, eh?
And what was your first sighting of enemy activity whilst you were in the UK?
Oh, it's only a year.
Quite actually on land. Our first sight was in Greece. Eh?
Oh, some time away.
Yeah, quite a way away from there at that period. That's it. Where we actually took part. We saw the signs of wreckages and things like that while we were on the water, but we never actually took a part in anything until Greece.
This was under Freiburg.
Yes.
Did you find that you came under air attack from V2 bombers and all those, or bombs?
Well, it was going on all the time, but it wasn't not V2.
What was it at that
These
time?
buzz bombs.
Buzz
Yeah.
bombs.
Well, we were out in the country. We were under canvas most of the time until we went to the billets, like Everly Towers. Oh, you didn't go to Everly Towers. That was B Company's billet.
We were at
We were further up the road.
not far from you. Oh, that's when you talk about Averley Towers, where you fellas were. We actually landed in Scotland on the 16th of June, 1940. That's right, eh?
But I got mixed up there. I thought it was the 20th of June that we left Wellington.
No, it was the 2nd of May.
Second. There you are.
And that's why I say I think it was only took us about 6 weeks to get to Scotland, I think. But we're not going to argue.
No.
So, can we just follow you through on what camps you went to and all your sequence of events that you can recall?
Our first camp was U-Shot, I think, wasn't it? Just outside Aldershot.
No, we went to Aldershot first and then we had to move to U-Shot afterwards.
Well, we didn't go into camp at Aldershot, did we?
Yeah. Just a temporary job. Because I remember when we got off the train, we had to route march with all our gear. Boy, what a lot of
Well,
gear.
we had to do that when we went from Aldershot to U-Shot.
Yeah, did it again.
There was the sea kit, your pack, your big kit bag, everything. And you had to march all the way, 7 miles, I think it was. But our marching wasn't very good, very disciplined.
It killed me, that one.
Oh, with that gear on board, I would imagine it wouldn't be.
Oh, we hadn't done much marching for some months too, you see. Weren't fit enough.
When we got into U-Shot, the only drink they had was Kentish Ale, eh?
Oh, yeah, Kentish Ale.
It wasn't strong enough for us, but funny thing, and I think Eddie will agree that after a few weeks there, we were getting just as inebriated on Kentish Ale as we were getting on. But used to it.
And because we were on very, very fine rations, according to us.
Oh, yeah.
But again, after a few weeks,
We were on
we
English
got
rations.
quite used to it.
We were on English rations.
I remember Nina McRae, when we had Kylie once in the old, what do you call them, those plate things we had. He was there going like this, you know. I said, what's the matter, Nina? He said, I'm looking for the bacon.
One egg and a bit of bacon.
Oh, my golly.
And when was the first call for you to go into actual combat or to go into the war zone as such?
The second dish, I think, was the Greece, as Eddie said.
But down in the south of England, where we finished up there, they had us as a mobile units, you know, travel by buses anywhere. It looked as if there might be a scare, and dump us on the buses, and boy, those little pommes could drive too, and we'd tear around to
No
this
lights.
particular spot, you know. But nothing actually eventuated for us at that stage.
It's true.
There's another aspect of the fighting was the air battle. So we were right in the middle of, on the ground, but they were doing most of their fighting came over Dover and Chatham there, and of course we were right underneath in that grandstand seat, really.
Yeah, we were told not to look up, not to move, get under cover and don't look up. And I don't know how to word this, but our padre was a fellow called Haywood. And the 2IC of the battalion was,
Bertrand.
Bertrand, fine fellow. He's an ex-teacher at Palmerston High School. New Plymouth High
You're
School.
getting mixed up the other way.
Yeah.
I was getting mixed up.
Memory isn't as good as it used to be. But however, this Haywood goes right out in the middle of the paddock and looks up there, and how do I word this though? Bertrand, the 2IC of the battalion, he says, "Get under cover, you silly so-and-so. Jesus Christ won't save you out there."
That's to our parson.
But there was a lot of wreckage and coming down.
Oh, well, we could see the planes were being hit and coming, you know, falling to the ground, but none fell near us.
Well, once or twice they're not far away, and they were usually theirs.
When were you ordered to move to Greece?
Or when the
Oh,
problems
when we
were
got- when we
resolved
got
in
back to-
England,
got
I
back
think.
to Egypt.
Oh, you
When
went
we
back
got
to
back
Egypt?
to Egypt.
So you went from England to where?
Back to
Back to
Cairo.
Well, no,
Egypt.
to Egypt.
And it was from there that we were.
Any active service or active operations in Cairo? What is it?
It was there you actually got your commission then, at that time, was it?
Oh, no, it was
We
a
got
while,
around,
while
I
after
was
that.
around about the same. You were just 1 year after me, 1 term after me.
1, 2.
Because I actually went to Ob2 from Crete, and I missed most of the battle at Crete. I was actually, the paratroops had just started coming down when we got onto a ship in Suda Bay. They dropped a few bombs in Suda Bay, but they didn't hit our ship. It was only a small cargo ship.
He missed quite a bit of Crete, and I wished I had.
Yeah, but I got something for him in Greece, as we've been asked to leave the country by the opposition. Heading for Athens, we had our Brent carriers, and of course we got them from England. And as the battalion turned into Athens, we were ordered, the carriers were ordered to turn around and go back to Corinth Canal. Just the carriers. But there was a section of the divisional cavalry went out there too. And that's actually where they first used paratroops, at Corinth.
You mean the Germans?
Yeah,
First used their British.
it was at Corinth, and that's where we had to get out because they had circled us. There was only a few of us. There were engineers. We were there to protect the engineers who were trying to blow up the bridge across the canal.
Actually, quite a few of our fellows, like Baker and Co, they all got caught in that area. Eh?
Yeah, that was our commander. Well-known Maori family, George
Bennett,
Bennett, was it?
yeah,
Yeah,
cousin of
yeah, that's right. George. Oh, they were when paratroops and there was strafing, no bombing, but very little bombing, but there was strafing. Messerschmitts encircling us and strafing, and they were in a quarry. They hopped into a quarry. They'd been to the village, the Corinth village, to fill the water wagon.
Yes.
And that's where Parker was too, you know,
Oh,
our,
yeah.
our sergeant of carriers.
Good man.
So I finished up the senior one with the carriers, and I said, "Oh, let's follow those div cab on there." No. So no insult to anybody. That's what you had to do. Get out before they got you. And I saw the div cab. There's 3 armoured cars tearing off for the hills, and I said, "Come on, we're going to." "Well, how are we going to get across those stone walls? We're going over them." We went over the damn stone walls too. Didn't lose a carrier. But they weren't high.
How many of them were you? How many carriers did you had under your command?
Oh, I don't know, about 11. Was it about 11?
Something like that.
At 11, and then we headed up into the hills too. Rough track. Our carriers took the carriers as far as we could go, and we found we were losing tracks. I told them to dump them, but strip your red guns and things like that. Shifterman was a very high cliff actually.
It was Olympus where we started, where we took off from, eh?
Oh, that's the fighting, yeah, the fighting.
In
Yeah,
Greece.
well, that's when we left Greece too. We started off from.
That's where that was our first. They were the first battles, weren't they? At Olympus.
First battle, yeah. Well, first time we see a live shell.
What do you remember those
First
first
time we
battles?
saw live Jerry's too.
Yeah.
What do you remember those first battles? Do you have any special memories?
Well, his memory's a little different. He was with
I was with the
platoon.
infantry.
Infantry, and I was. Never mind, you carry on.
Oh yeah, well it was an eerie
Misty,
sort of
heavy mist.
Because at that stage in Olympus there we could see them going along out the hill, in the distance. We could see them going right past us. And we knew that they were going to come down further back and sort of try to cut us off. So it wasn't a very pleasant feeling.
Yeah, our Olympus was, as we moved out of Olympus to go back to the transport.
Yes, yeah.
Transport, that was back of it. The carriers were ordered to travel all rocky country above snow line to fill a 3-mile gap between the battalion and some other unit. I think they were Aussies, I'm not sure.
Yeah, the Aussies were down on the coast.
Yeah, something like that. And we had to fill this gap. Big bread carriers, and it was you couldn't see here from John there in the fog. You'd go along these ridges and taking it but you had to keep your motors roaring to think that we had a mob of tanks up on the ridge there.
So your deception plan, was it?
Yeah, that's what it was, and nobody got hurt, but you'd go very slowly and you feel the front of the carrier going down like this, so you stopped and you backed off, because
Yeah, steep drop.
but it was just good fun,
Yeah.
wasn't it? I think nobody was worried, or didn't appear to be. Duck and McRae followed the carriers up on a motorbike. I don't know how the hell he got up with all those rocks.
And in the meantime, we infantry fellows, we were doing night marches out through the pass, at Olympus, and we stopped when come daylight. We didn't feel like moving on. It was straight down both sides.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
It was tricky country.
And were you both commissioned at this time?
No. As I said, I went from Crete to
Crete. So
I bluffed them somehow.
you quietly complied with the requirements to move off of Greece, and then you occupied Crete. Is that where you went?
Yeah.
Moved on to Crete.
Bit of a scramble to get off
You were to
Greece
go.
too.
You were to go from there to Alexandria, but you had to stay there, didn't you?
Well, I think Freiburg was the one that decided we sort of should have a bit of a break, and which it turned out to be a big mistake, of course.
Crete.
In Crete.
Yeah, actually, I with the carriers, I was still the senior one there, even though a corporal, only a corporal. When we got in dumped our carriers, we had to walk. I had a map. We had to walk to the nearest spot where they were evacuating them at Nafplion up in the Gulf. That was the nearest spot for where we came from, Corinth. We got there eventually. I don't know how long it took us to get there. I don't know. I think it was the next night. We walked into this place and there was a hangover queue of people waiting to get on the barges to go out to the destroyers. Anyhow, the destroyers had to leave before daybreak. And the last barge sank with people trying to get onto the last barge. But we were still way back in the queue. And so we missed that, fortunately. And then we walked from there. Somebody said, one of the British officers said, well, the next evacuation will be from what they called T Beach, which was in the Gulf of Argos, which I can't remember now. They were coming in the next night. It wasn't a very long walk, but we couldn't walk in daylight. There were planes flying around all the time. And we got to T Beach sometime the next morning, because we only marched at night. And we were there for maybe 2 days. And the order came into, there were British soldiers were the majority thing. The odd New Zealand, several of us Maoris. And they were coming in light tanks, not far away. So the British commander said, well, there's nothing we can do about it, we'll have to surrender. Well, there were quite a few Kiwis that didn't agree with that. So we knew there were boats on the beach far from us. So a group of us, only 2 Maoris though. Oh, I got the other boys. I said, come on, we'll get on a boat. They said, no, get on a boat to go out there. Yes, only 2. There was a fellow called Dick Argaraya from Horo, and myself. So we rode from Greece to Crete.
And you knew the battalion was going to Crete?
Yeah, we'd already been told.
And what distance is that? I remember reading this and was great enjoyment.
It was 170 miles, I think, eh?
Yes, round about that.
You rode?
Yeah. We had about that much freeboard on our boat because we had div cab fellas on it too. They all volunteered to go.
How many in your boat?
It was a Major Harpert, I think, was in command of the boat, but they had about a dysentery all the way. Oh, I don't know, there were 13 of us, I think. Yes, it was 13.
Rode the 170 miles.
How long did it take you to get?
Only 5 days, 4 nights. Only 2 oars.
Yeah.
Taking spells. Then I had a little, my girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, before I left New Zealand, gave me a little signet ring, but one of these gold signet ring, but very thin. I wore it through. I lost it.
And food and water?
Nothing. Well, that's right. The first day we started rowing, we stopped at a little island. We were getting shelled there. But once the darkness came, they shut up. We headed across the Gulf and pulled up on the way down and went to shoot a goat. I had a pistol. I don't know where I got it from. Or it might have been somebody else's pistol. He goes, give us that, I'll shoot it. It's about from here to you. The goat. Not one shot hit him.
Quite safe in that distance.
Just stood there looking at us. So the locals gave us some goat meat. Oh, I don't know, they burnt it or something. We just had a feed there, we didn't take any.
And the water was a problem?
No, not really. We had the only problem was the fighters, German fighters, circling every boat that's out there. But fortunately, we had in the boat were Greek blankets. There was one blanket, and every time a plane would be heading over us, and one white shirt. The one oarsman, had to put the white shirt on, and we'd cover the rest with this blanket. And don't worry, they looked at us and looked at us. One particular plane kept circled us about 3 times, and he wasn't satisfied. It was just a fisherman going out. 13 of us. Yeah, we were lucky.
And how long did it take you to join up with the battalion once you arrived in Crete?
Oh, no time at all.
Much.
Kuru was in Castelli.
Yeah, he went to train some of the Greek
Some
troops.
Greek crew was there, and he got through to the battalion. They weren't far away the other side of Malema. And they sent trucks, or a truck.
Yeah, well, in the meantime, when Ted started off, what place did you live, Greece?
Or in Nafplion,
Oh, that's
the
right.
Gulf of Argos.
Oh, we had to once to no, Spakia was in Crete.
Yeah, that's where you got out. It's about here, isn't it?
Yes. No, but when we embarked, we got on that Glengyle in Greece. That's right, right in the main harbour. And big one of these troop carrying ships, huge one. And a bit late leaving, so some of the planes caught up with our ship the next day, and boy, you got peppered. Fortunately, they didn't seem to have any bombs. They were just using machine guns.
Well, of course, they had air superiority, the
Oh.
carriers. Before they took Crete, there were a few fighter planes on Malema, weren't there?
It was double wing thing.
Yeah.
Gladiators.
Gladiators, was it?
Yeah. Yes, and I'm just trying to remember where we got off in Crete.
Somewhere.
No, that's when we got off to come back to Egypt.
Yeah, somewhere.
But where we got off,
Oh, got off to
to land.
Would have been Suda Bay.
Must have been
wouldn't it?
Suda Bay, yes. Yes.
Well, how long were you on Crete then?
What would it
It goes better because I left before the battle was really hotting up.
I can't remember how long in time, but it seemed like years.
That's my sausage, eh?
Just tell us about your life on Crete, Eddie.
That's a funny
It
time.
it was good for a start. You know, it was a beautiful island and lovely ocean or sea all around you. There was a little island there just off the coast of Crete near Malema Aerodrome where we were, the back of Malema, and you could get anything there with little cuckoos, guineas, all in this place.
Kaimana.
Yeah, we could swim out to it, really. Even me, I couldn't swim much. I got hungry enough to swim out. So, and the weather was beautiful. Everything was lovely. We were just started to settle down to a nice summer holiday when the invasion happened, because that changed everything.
Yeah, well, I wasn't there. We were waiting at Suda Bay actually, the paratroopers were falling as we got on the ship. The only danger was from being shot up.
And now when we look back, we realise that had we held on just a little bit longer, even one day, it may well have changed that.
I don't think it wasn't possible there.
I don't think so.
We didn't have the arms.
We had nothing. We had no ammunition, no arms, no kite.
From what history tells us now, that the Germans were in fact in precisely the same position as you were. But obviously
We didn't know that.
didn't know that. No, the intelligence wasn't such that you knew about it.
Mind you, they were better off than us, these paratroops, for this reason, because we robbed quite a few of them with their haversacks, and they had all this
They had the rations.
Food and all that.
and rations and rations. Enough to last them about a month, I suppose, each man.
Before we get off Crete, the one thing did frighten me on Crete before I left there. I was having, those little stream from where we were camped, coming from that village.
Yeah.
I went for a wash and I took over my grandmother had given me a small tikkie, that size, bone carved, not ordinary chisel, marrow carved, not metal chisels. And I took it off when I was having a wash in this bit of a stream, and I left it there. When I found I left it there, I said, well, I've had it now, losing that. was. They didn't know how fast I could run.
Did you actually go back to get it, or did you leave it there?
No, I went back, but possibly.
Oh, don't worry. I wouldn't accept any gifts, you know, like when we left. Quite a few of the hapus, they had little ornaments, dickies and things like that. I would never accept any of those for that reason. I thought, now if I would take it and wear it and I lose it, it's almost like giving up hope, you know.
Yeah, well, it didn't with me, you see. It was funny.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah, to many who have returned now, Crete was the highlight, if you can call it such a thing, of their 5-year time away. Did you feel like that at any stage?
Yes, definitely. It was I think, it was the battle of the whole war as far as New Zealanders were
The most
concerned.
unfair one.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
with their air control.
They'd chase one man, you know, if they saw one man move, the booming planes would chase him. They wouldn't even bother in normal times. Leave it for later, but no, it's...
Same thing happened in Greece.
Yeah.
The planes would shoot the, splatter the ambulances.
That was because of their superiority in the air.
Oh, yeah, no opposition whatsoever.
And both those countries, I understand, were rather rocky, so it was difficult
Very,
for you to
very rugged countries.
to get some kind of concealment or defensive
Or
works.
olive trees.
Olive trees mainly.
Yeah. What about to dig in for you? Did you have trench systems there in Crete?
Yeah.
Oh, that was-
Individually, we are about two to a small slit trench, you know.
Yeah, but you wouldn't get very deep.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, you strike rock pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The experience of shooting at those paratroopers must have been something unreal.
Well, yes, but mainly you didn't know whether you'd hit them or not.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I know. I let off 2 magazines on the Bren gun at Corinth, and shooting right into them. I don't know whether I hit anybody. It was just until we ran out of ammunition.
Certainly a certain major battle with it all. There were a number of people that were left behind during the actual evacuation of Crete. How did you arrive, or how did the commanders arrive at that decision?
Well, they had the main disembarkation point was the place called Sparkia, and they had the boats coming there at night, and they had it well and truly guarded. You know, if you didn't have the qualifications to get on or with your unit onto one of these ships, you weren't allowed. That's right. They wouldn't let you past, which was fair enough. But I remember who was in charge of that unit too was that old Colonel Gray, you know, tough old bugger. But myself and a few of us, I remember, we were the very last to get off there, and we got onto an Australian destroyer called HMS Napier, HMAS Napier.
You were all plastered too, weren't you, with the
Yeah,
aircraft?
oh my God, everything. But at that stage you'd got used to bullets and you didn't worry about it unless it hit you. Yeah, but all those naval fellows were.
Ted, just so I know that you have to go. Can we catch up with you on your OCT and where you did your training and things like that just before you?
Well, Eddie could tell you the same thing, because I went in from Crete into Octu. I forget what company it was,
They were-
B Company or something like that. And then when he got back from Crete after fighting for me, he went straight in then, didn't he?
Yeah.
Straight from Crete,
How did they select
or
you?
straight after Crete.
More or less.
How did they select you? Was there?
Oh, it was our
He was with us out in our company.
That's right.
Oh, he had them well bluffed, the instructors.
Oh yeah, he
I wonder if there's any
pretended he
girls in
couldn't
it. That's
speak
all I want
English.
to know.
Yeah, he could.
Plenty? I bet they won't tell you that part.
That one's sensitive, you know.
Yeah. Right.
We had Wianaru with us too, but he was already in Cairo. I don't know why. I don't know whether he must have come straight from Greece to
You had to bring the pay records back from my group. He didn't burn them.
And anyhow, he was there, and he put it across us because we didn't put his pot on. But he told the instructors that he's having difficulty in keeping up with the instructions. He says, I got to listen to it in Pākehā, and I only think in Maori, and I change it to Maori, do my Maori thinking, and then I'd have to give you the answer in Pākehā. He said it took me twice as long as anybody else. So I think some sort of regard should be given that. And okay, he got away with it. He got away with it all the way.
I heard you talking about Percy Francis earlier.
Meta.
Oh, Meta, was it?
Yeah. That's where he got that wound he had.
In the leg, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He got hit again at Alamein.
That's right, but the main one was...
Was that the one? I thought it was Alamein, the one that got it.
Hit him in they had to put a pin in and his leg shortened about 1.5 inches. That's why he always
Had that limp.
had that limp and stick.
Well, I still thought it was because I sent a carrier out to find him. He'd been missing after he was wounded at Alamein. He'd been missing. He was hit during the night, but nobody knew whether he'd been killed or not. So I sent a carrier out to see if they could find him. Just fluked it. They went straight for him, found him lying in the desert,
Conscious.
in the sun. And they pulled him back.
Tell us about your officer training. Was it certainly the training that I've gone through has strong elements of bastardization, of pushing you to your limits, both physically, mentally, and things that you wouldn't consider as common sense things to do. The required young officers.
Oh, yeah, the trainers, well, there's our RSM was Scots Guards.
Oh,
Scots Guards, yeah, Rollins. Yeah. He was tough, but you get him off the parade ground, and we were afraid to go and, we're a bit backward. But eventually when we did, we found him a damn good bloke. But as soon as he got on the parade ground, boy, he was tough. Take that man's name. You'd be on parade, and you don't move. Don't even move your fingers. Sergeant, he was Scots Guards too. Splissick.
Yeah.
All he said was, take that man's name.
Yeah.
Seemed to be his favourite saying.
Take that man's name. And Fizzy could know whose hands were, whose fingers were moving. God, sir! He would write them down.
He marched along beside somebody in the squad with that pacing stick they have, neat, because he was a really neat soldier. And he'd just come up and whisper quietly in your ear, where are you from, sir? New Zealand, sir. We had to call him sir too, because we weren't qualified officers at the time. Yes, from New Zealand, sir. Well, you're not in New Zealand now.
You actually, Freiburg had a chat with him. He says, you stop treating our... they said, they've just come from Crete, these fellas. And you tried to teach them like dimwits. If they were dimwits, they wouldn't be here.
What did it feel like once you got on the day that you were commissioned? Any special feeling?
No, I don't think so.
I tell you one thing I couldn't get used to for a long time, and that was saluting.
Yeah,
Because everybody,
annoying, eh?
everybody below the rank of officer, when they went past, salute, and you look at them and say, "No, what the hell's he doing?"
Well, we have a photo here of you, young lady, in your army days, seen as a commissioned officer. Tell me how long after this photo was how long was it after this photo was taken that you got commissioned, or before?
In fact, he's wearing his rank there, so obviously...
Yeah, well, actually, The photo was taken 2 days after I got commission. I had to get one made for a passport. As soon as you became commissioned, you had to have carry a passport with you, and that's where that one came from. It's a blown up one because I haven't got any other photographs of myself in that uniform.
Did you get a good reaction from the family when they knew that you were going on officer training and you were to be commissioned
Well,
back here in New Zealand?
They didn't know. They didn't know about that until I came home on furlough, and nobody knew that I'd been commissioned. Not even my wife, until I got off the train in Rotorua.
Do you have any fond memories of the officer training that you did?
Well, made some very good friends even amongst the Poms and the Scotch, and Duncan McRae and I went through in the same group, and we were in the same platoon, training platoon, and a real mixture: South Africans, Australians, Rhodesians, and other New Zealanders. So we made some lasting friends there, and one of them particularly, an Englishman, still writes to me.
And did many of those in your platoon go on to be very senior officers?
Well, I don't know. Of course, it wasn't except for this this Englishman who, by the way, was a very high class in England. Apart from hearing from him, I never heard of any more of the others that were with us.
Can we ask his name?
Jim Durkin was his name.
Is he still alive?
Well, I don't know. I haven't had a letter from him for quite a while. But Duncan will remember him too. Actually, we used to call him... oh, well, I better not say.
No, they're right.
We used to call him Firkin Durkin.
And the comradeship amongst you people, you and the rest of your training officers was pretty good.
Very good indeed. Yes, we was one Australian was about the only one that we couldn't get along with, and he was, well, perhaps I shouldn't say typical Australian, but he was a real blowhard, you know.
It must have been rather difficult for you that the war was in progress, and you were going through a training phase.
Well, actually, there was no war on at the time. That was after Crete, and there was a break after Crete for a few months before the next desert campaign got underway, and was we caught up with that.
Yeah.
We were caught up in that again when it started.
How long was your training required?
If I remember right, it was 4 to 5 months.
And then you were, what unit or were you assigned to once you returned to the battalion?
Back to the same company, same B company.
B company.
Yeah. And Charlie Bennett was the company. No, he was the battalion commander by then.
And how did all your whānau respond to the new role that you had?
Very good. Nobody tried to trade on relationship or anything like that. They just acted like all the rest of the soldiers did. And discipline had been very good right through, so they stuck to it. You know?
Do you remember much about Hane Manahi, and had he gone through his the incident which earned him his DCM?
Not at that stage. Hane was my sergeant, though. I took over what they call number 10 platoon in B Company, and Hane was the sergeant of that platoon.
Can you recall any of the names of people that were in that platoon at the time?
Oh, gosh. I'd have to have a good think before I could remember them.
I heard you weren't quite used to the idea of them all saluting it.
Oh, that's quite right. Yeah, sort of. As they passed, and of course, having been so well disciplined, the Maoris were very smart and brilliant with their that part of their training. Compliments, and they throw very smart salutes. Sometimes they give you a fright.
So, what campaign did you go into as a commissioned officer?
The first one was. We were training at a place called Cabrit for landing craft when Duncan and I were sent up to what they call it, officer
Training.
Corps training, yes. And from Cabrit.
You must have started to see the old activities of Rommel by, I guess, about that time, presume?
Yes, but we hadn't got in close contact with him. We hadn't been sent into any of the battles that eventually happened at that time. But our platoon and company were all fellows we knew from home, friends. Not officers and soldiers, we were all mates. But that didn't, as I say, none of the chaps traded on that fact. They just carried on as if you were sent as an officer to look after them.
And you had shown your leadership skills as a sergeant. Then you now found yourself having to exercise the leadership skills of an officer. Did that change any perspectives of your own?
Well, not really, because before I went to OP2 to get to officer training, I'd been promoted from sergeant in the rifle platoon to company sergeant major. So I sort of looked after the discipline of the whole company. So there was no problem there.
So you went from almost the top of the non-commissioned ranks to the bottom of the officer ranks.
Yes, starting off, of course, from the bottom of the non-commissioned rank too.
Yes.
And never missed any stage, except one striper, 2 stripes, 3 stripes, crown for the sergeant major, and then one pip for second lieutenant.
And when you left the service much later, of course, what was your senior rank then?
I was captain then, at the time I left.
You had no thoughts of wanting to pursue a professional career?
At that stage, no, but later on, not very long later on, I wish I'd stayed in, because I was finding it rather hard to fit back into civilian life. But at the time, I was glad to get out.
Yes. Now, what campaigns can you remember sort of as a young lieutenant?
Started off with the first desert campaign, a second desert campaign. That's when the division went right through from Alamein to, the Alamein was first, and then going through from Alamein right through to North Africa to, what's the name of that city? Up in Tunis, to Tunis. And of course from Tunis war was over in North Africa then, so we were sent back again to our base camp, Mahdi, in Egypt. So those are the desert campaigns that we got involved in, although there was, sporadic sort of isolated battles here and there.
Do you recall any special hardships that you personally suffered?
Not, no more so in the desert than the others, I don't think, but in Crete, I think when we made the forced march from through the bay right across to the Sparkia, where we left Crete, embarked to come back to Alexandria, we had to walk through quite a few streams, and my boots been dry and hard for so long, they just got soggy and fell off on my feet, so I was walking in stockings by the time we got to Sparkia. That was a real hardship because it was rocky and very painful indeed.
And what about the loss of close friends and associates? Did that strike you hard?
You didn't have much time to think about it, to dwell on it. The one perhaps that affected me most at the time was not a loss in battle, but back in the Helwan camp, which was our base camp in Egypt, I shared a tent with Eddie Howe from Madata, Bear Plenty. And he went out along with others, had a night leave for the night, and they went to the theatre, in the camp theatre. And he got knocked over by an ambulance and died. So when I woke up in the morning, he wasn't there, and it wasn't long I found out that he had been killed. And it made me feel very, very bad about it, because we were so close to me and for so long, and we were very good friends.
Did you find yourself involved in any frontal assaults on enemy positions or in hand-to-hand combat?
Oh yes, particularly again in Greece and Crete. It was practically every time we met them, there was some hand-to-hand fighting. Particularly at a place in Crete where they call Suda Bay. We had to counter-attack twice that I can remember, and that was the bayonet job. And I must say the Maori boys acquitted themselves extra well there. They put the wind up the Germans, no halfway.
Did they use any Maori type of warfare tactics like a haka?
Oh yes, at that particular spot again, I remember there was a real war cry there, a haka, before they went in and made the counter-attack. But I don't think the enemy knew that it was going to be a counter-attack, because they probably had never struck anything like that before.
How do you think the enemy rated the battalion as a fighting force?
Oh, tops. We found that out from prisoners that we took in various places. They more or less looked on us as savages, or almost got to the stage where they thought of us as cannibals. But there was one common feeling was that they were very, very dangerous people to be against.
And did you, in terms of things like entertainment and that during quiet moments, did you play sport or have concert parties or any of those things?
Well, once again it was rugby come to the fore again. I used to play rugby on ground with no grass at all, mostly stones and sand. It was very hard. But,
Companies against companies.
Companies against companies. And of course we had the good old Kiwi concert party. They turned up at places where you least expect to find them. And very, very much appreciated because they were first class.
I understand also that your chowwallahs, or I'm not certain what name you would have given to them at the time, you would be on operations or exercises to secret locations, and those people would be in place waiting for you, or they'd turn up as well.
A cup of tea or something.
All the YMCA boys. Oh,
Or even
yes.
the natives.
Yeah, yes. But the YMCA were the ones that did. Well, Charlie Bennett. He was our particular YMCA man. And you find him in the most unheard of places. As you say, we do a hard move at night, and under cover and concealment at night, and you get there the next day or during that night, and you'll find that Charlie was there with his van waiting for us. He was a marvel.
And what about other identities like our man Warbrick Whanonga, who became a legend with some of the...
Will he be Warbrick?
Oh, the
Long Range
Desert Group. Yes, well, we you probably heard as much of him about his doings back home here as we did over there, because they were very, very much detached from us. They were either working miles ahead, in behind the enemy lines, or way out to the east or west. Didn't ever know where they were, but I know he had an extra good name.
Did you have actually any contact with them at all?
Only just to meet. Nothing to do as far as the fighting was concerned. It was never attached to us.
And with the ease with which Maoris are able to learn languages, did that apply during the campaigns or through the countries that you were operating?
Yes, Greek was very hard to hang on to, and even Egyptian was hard too, because there was no written language as we know it. The letters, you couldn't even distinguish between A, B, and C in those two languages. But Italian, a lot of the fellows picked up Italian because their manner of speaking Italian is very similar to Maori. In that speaking Italian, they use the vowel sounds exactly as Maori language does.
In German,
German is hard too, of course.
There are times when one can go into an RSA, and many of the soldiers of your time sing Italian songs.
Yes, well that's it. I can speak personally of myself. I fell in love with this Italian songs. Some of them were beautiful, and I learnt as many as I could. So Buck Mikari and I used to, when we were in advanced pace, we had some friends in a little town called Malpeta, and they used to teach us these Italian songs, so we managed to get a few.
And do you remember those now?
A couple of them, yes.
So when we pull our team together, we can expect a good rendition of it.
Italian song.
Yeah, it's in the head, but I don't know whether it's in the voice.
One personal memory I have is of a photo of my namesake, my Uncle Joe. It's a beautiful photo of him, and in his army gear. Can you tell me something about him? I don't know anything much at all about him. I'd be grateful if you could let me know something about him.
Yes, well, I can tell you that we were particularly close, Joe and I, because I'd been an officer for some time then, and at that stage I was entitled to a batman. And the first batman I had was Ollie Tai from here, from Haywood.
Mm-hmm.
Next one was Joe. The next one was Sonny Moore from Opotiki. And unfortunately, the whole three of them were killed.
I've seen an old photo of his grave in Egypt. It's really quite sad that they,
Yes.
they had to leave so many over there.
I didn't really know that he had died at this particular time until the next day, because I didn't.
Was he still your bedman when
Yes.
he died?
Yeah, he was still in my bed. And Ollie Tai was killed, of course, and Sonny Moore, they were all killed. That was bad luck for Redmond.
Oh, I wouldn't be so bold as to say that, but it's just quite sad because I look at his photos and they're really
Yes,
the prime of their life when they died.
that's right.
What kind of action killed them? Were it mines or just enemy fire, rifle fire?
It was mixed fire, machine gun and rifles and whatnot at the time. You know.
Sorry, I know that there was one cause of concern from Freiburg that so many of the flower of the married people had died, and it was, I know he was very concerned about it, wasn't he, Freiburg, at one stage?
Well, I think the main reason for that was that the old battalion was so good at fighting that they were put into some very tough spots. Naturally, they got a lot of casualties, probably more than any of the other units.
What about people like Ozzy Bowser? Was he part of your company?
He was, no, he wasn't. He was in headquarters company. I'm not quite sure what unit, whether he was mortars or whatnot.
Somehow or another, Clary and Orby indicated that he may have been a battalion sniper or involved in some good shooting activities.
Yeah, it could be. Could be. They never had much to do with the B Company during those times. So consequently, they were not coming into contact with them. We never even thought of them.
Was there much of a church service for our people who died in the field? Was there punning for them of any sort?
No, they were buried with church honours, of course, but it didn't matter if there happened, because you couldn't have a parson every time somebody got killed. But we were particularly lucky in that respect. We had this man from Ngota, I Taui.
Oh, yeah, Betty.
Yeah, I Taui, and he was a priest in the Ringatu church, and he buried a lot of our fellows. He was exceptionally good at that. He didn't care what was going on around him. He did his job very well. Of course, being an ordinary soldier at the same time, he was nearly always there.
And people like Wihuta came on and even were awarded a military cross for his action in one of the battles.
Yes, but he, as far as I'm concerned, I didn't know much about we except his football. He was a very good footballer, but he came fairly late in the affairs of the battalion, so I particularly didn't get to know him very well over there.
And how did people like Peter Awate rate as a commanding officer to you?
Oh, well, there was no doubting his bravery. Everybody knew that. And everybody in the New Zealand division, and probably more, even the English units too, all knew him as the Mukta, which is the leader of one of the Egyptian groups, you know, because he looked a bit like a mukta, but he was a great fighter, no doubt about it.
He led his attacks himself?
Yeah, he was always somewhere. It's a bit like our Commander Freiberg. He was always in the front somewhere.
There was one criticism I've heard of him, in that because of his tenacity, he did not have compassion on prisoners of war, or people who were not fighting hard on the other side.
Probably not, yeah, but before he became the battalion commander, he had Ngati Poro Sea Company, so they would know better how he reacted to any of that sort of business.
Tactically or strategically, was he a good commander?
I think so. Yes, I think so. But I think his main strength in that capacity as the commander of it, and whatever they told him to do, he'd go and try and do it anyhow, even if it looked a bit silly at the time.